Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our last call before the summit. I know, time flies, right? It's just like one day you're like, oh, I'm going to be in a summit, and then the other day it's happening. And we have been working behind the scenes very, very hard to make sure that all the pieces, the logistical parts, the email sequences, absolutely everything is working from the perspective of the experience, the journey for everyone who has signed up for the summit, right? And first, we are going to start by actually sharing the signups from speakers. So let me just share my screen. I have here the highest signups. All right. So just so you have a little bit of an idea of what's happening behind the scenes. So Maria, you have the highest signups so far. Yay! And you actually got 2 VIP upsells at $1, and that's great because this is people from your audience that want to buy from you. So you want to make sure that you know who they are. So when they're on your talk, you recognize them. And you can be like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you, Veronica, right? Thank you for being here, right? Like recognition, appreciation is one of the biggest pieces. And I recommend for anyone who's here or watching the replay to know that if you are in this space and you see a familiar face, you say hello, right? You appreciate them for being there. It just makes such a huge difference. People want to be recognized. Think about it when you were a kid and you were in school and they were giving all the stars, right? You wanted one. You wanted to be part of that, right? And if you didn't get a star because you misbehave, right? That day, what happens? You go home feeling sad.
Well,
The same
we're in
happens.
a menopause summit, right? We were talking a lot about acknowledgement. That's what it is acknowledgement. We're going to be with a lot of women who really need to be heard. So it's even more fitting, that
Yeah.
acknowledgement piece.
And also, Dalicia has 4 signups. Dr. Gina, that is somewhere here behind the scenes, also has 4 signups. Eva has 3. Regina, actually you have 7, Regina, but because you have for some reason you ended up having 2 affiliate links. So you have 7 people. So yay. Ay, oops, wrong slide. And then we have Tina, she has 2, and then Anna 2, and Liliana, you have 2 signups. Yay.
Yay,
So
ladies.
these are super warm audiences in your space. Now, the next thing I want to do is just give me 1 second. I need to take this. And I want to run you through the calendar. What's going to happen, right? Once we are inside, of it. You all have, there's a screenshot, still needs a little bit of some things have changed, but in general, your timings are definitely correct. Maybe your talk title changed, but the calendar is very important for you to know when to show up and when not to show up. No, you can show up all the time you want, okay? So let me just share with you. I'm gonna again share my screen. And then I'm gonna walk you through what's gonna happen, okay? Who's excited about, that it's finally happening, that the time is here, that all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together? Okay. And I know it's like the end of the day for me. So I'm like, okay. And then we're gonna be actually hosting the summit from Colorado. So Christy and I were traveling to meet in one place to actually host the summit for all of you in Colorado. So we're flying out tomorrow to make sure that we make it on time. There's no flight delays and whatnot. And then we get to have some extra fun with all of you. Okay, so this is a calendar, right? I'm going to give you now, and I'll put it also on the one-stop page list that it's on the top of the WhatsApp group, right? See the WhatsApp group, the one that you're all part of? On top of that, there's always a pinned link. That pinned link has the speaker master file. And we keep talking about it over and over and over in that conversation. So that's where you can find the speaker master file. Okay. Now, here, this is a calendar and also in Google. I'm going to provide a link for you to add that Google Calendar. So you have the calendar that all the attendees are getting. Yeah. So you can see how it all works, like what the magic happens behind the scenes. Okay. So first, on Tuesday, 25th of February, we start at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Okay. So this calendar, the Google Calendar I'll give you, it will auto update to your time zone. That's why I really, really want you to put it in your calendar, because I almost missed once a speaking opportunity because I almost showed up at the wrong time zone. Yeah. So first at 9 a.m. from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., we are going to have our Let's Talk Menopause. This is what we call the VIP Roundtable. It's not called the VIP Roundtable in the Menopause Summit because people who are signing up for the Menopause Summit do not know what a VIP Roundtable is. So this is all about talking menopause. It works the same way. It's a panel of speakers. All of you VIP speakers are going to be highlighted, and the audience, there will be topics that we're going to be talking about, like the main pain point of sleep, hot flashes, brain fog, right? Weight loss. And we're going to be having a conversation. And the people in the audience will be able to ask questions about it. Yeah, they'll be able to see, oh, what can I do here? This is a perfect time for you to talk about when are you going to be talking, what are you going to be talking about, and why someone should join. Okay, so this is important. If we talk about 3 events that you want to attend besides your talk, this is one of them. Okay, this is where you create connections. It's kind of like if we were all together in a living room and we're having this warm, amazing conversation where there's no taboos, right? Where people can ask their questions, there's no judgment. We get to let people be seen and feel seen, okay? After that, we have Jenny C. Cohen with How to Dance Your Way Back to Joy, Strength, and Youth, right? We're followed by Lauren McLaughlin on Pause, Redefining Menopause as Your Most Powerful Chapter. Then we have a lunch break. Usually in this lunch break, we do stay along and we actually connect with the people who are attending, but we give this space for people to just go do things that they need to do, maybe have lunch, right? So it's a little bit more of an informal space, but connections still happen in this space. Yeah. So if you want to be during the lunches there, you're 100% welcome. Okay. Then after lunch break, we have More Orgasms, Yes Please, Simple Ways to Relax, Reconnect, and Bring More Pleasure into Your Life by Diane. Then followed by Amy Stephens, Stop Having a Crime Scene Monthly Cycle and Take Change of Your Blood Work. And we know this is going to be a hot topic also. So we do have a 20-minute intermission here. We're going to be, whoever the VIP speakers is around, we might just grab you and interview you. Yeah, and we'll ask you questions. So this it's not in the calendar. It's kind of like, I call it the wild card. So this is absolutely amazing opportunity for additional exposure in front of the audience. And then we're followed by Emotional Harmony, Discover the Hidden Keys to Creativity, Balance, Peace, and Joy in Menopause by Kimberly. And this is where we wrap up day 1, okay? After this, we might stay a little bit longer and answer people's question, right? Like this is a topic that people want to talk about. So we are providing additional space for people just to hang out. So you're always invited to be here. And then when we see, the energy is dropping and whatnot, we all go and rest for the next day. On the 26th of February, we actually start with, finally, Dirty Menopausal Myths, Lies, Secrets, and Unknowns revealed by Dr. Gina V. Followed by The Sacred Transformation of Menopause, Let's Menopause Set You Free by Anna Danfeld. Then we have Weight Off, Life On, Reclaim Your Body and Energy in Menopause by Annie Goldfeld. Followed by Reclaim Your Feminine Power in Perimenopause and Feel Radiant Confident by Susana Bianco. Then we have Free to Lead, How Midlife Women Can Overcome Bias and Break Through to Higher Leadership by Delisha Coppersmith. Then we have a shorter launch on day 2. And then after that, we have a workshop. It's called Dance Your Way to Confidence, right? So Jenny's going to be leading that one. Now, this is a place where people will share its retreat style in the sense of like there is a start point, a high point, and then an integration point. Yeah. So people will be able to, again, share, communicate, ask questions, right? We're at halfway into the summit at this point. The people who are staying here, they're very, very highly engaged. They've been, most of them, throughout the whole journey. So that's why we're having this activity that's uplifting. And then we're followed by Ariana talking about You're Not Crazy, It's Just Menopause. And she's going to be talking about the biology of menopause and what happens inside of your bodies and minerals and a bunch of fun stuff. And followed by Hot Flashes, Hormones, and Hope, A Sure Path to Thriving Through Menopause by Jane Wenning. And then we're going to end the day with Dr. Angela Harden, Embracing the Heat, Transforming Sweat, Sex, and Sleep in Menopause. And that's where we wrap up day 2. Day 2 is the longest day. It finishes at 5 p.m. Yeah. Now, on Thursday, our last day of the summit, right? This is where we want to keep all our energy up because, again, this is the people who really, really want to know about this. Get Your Jawline Back in 3 months, even when you're going through menopause by Eva Lou. How to Relieve Perimenopause Symptoms in Just 3 minutes or less. Time to Get Back to Living Your Best Life. And then we have Tina, and Tina is she is absolutely amazing. You have not seen her on the calls, but like I know her for many, many years ago, and you're gonna love her talk. Fuck Menopause, How to Be a Badass in Midlife and Embrace Your Feminine Fire. We're followed by Maria, Balance Your Hormones, Shed Stubborn Weight, and Thrive Through Menopause. And then we have From Doormat to Damn Right, How to Set Boundaries like a Boss by Nikki Margot. And then we have the 5 Principles of Becoming Trauma Informed by Bethany Perry. We have a lunch break. And then after that lunch break, we have Menopause Experts Live Q&A. You want to be here. You're an expert in menopause. Okay. Block this one in your calendar. You want to be in this space because this is another opportunity for all the speakers to answer questions and get people to be like, oh, well, if she already gave me this nugget of information in 2 minutes, what would happen if I actually work with her? Yeah, so the Menopause Experts Live Q&A, it's super, super powerful. We're followed by Susan Sheehan with Stop Feeling Unfit, Fat, Flabby, Frustrated, Fatigued, Frumpy, and Fed Up, How to Feel Fit, Free, and Fabulous. Right, that's absolutely amazing. I'm so excited for that talk. And then we have Diliana with From Crisis to Confidence, A Roadmap to Midlife Transformation. And we finish with Dr. Pam that just joined the room, Menopause Reset, How to Feel Vibrant, Balanced, and in Control. Okay, so this is a calendar. Now, next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to ask you to click on this link and add the Google Calendar already as you're here on this call. This is the calendar that the attendees get, right? It's a Google Calendar. If you do not have Google Calendar, let me know. I'll get you the iCalendar. Usually it works best from the computer.
And one thing I want to plug in about the calendar and the summit is the first, you guys will feel the energy when we start out. You know, the VIP room, everybody's excited, everybody shows up. In those first few hours, it's high vibe, it's high energy. By the end of the summit, we don't want to let that subside. We want to bring that same energy throughout the whole summit. That will make a difference in how the audience receives each and every speaker. So put that in your calendar, whatever you do for your mindset and your energy, and just make sure you bring 100% of yourself the whole time. Set your calendar so your children have what they need taken care of. Have somebody pick up your kids from school, whatever the things are that people use as excuses to not show up towards the end of the summit. We put a lot of energy into the summit, into making sure that that energy stays high, but that's something that you can do as speakers for each other and for the audience.
Okay, let me copy the calendar. I'll also put it on the WhatsApp group. And wait, give me a second. I'm gonna go, I tested it, but I'm gonna go test it again. See that it works.
That's it. It's working. I can add, I just added it.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
not working for me.
I'm gonna send it on the WhatsApp group. So then you have it, you have direct access.
Yeah, WhatsApp or email, please.
Okay. Yes. It will also be on the replay, like the speakers page, the one page. It will also be added there today. So we'll be able to also click for them. Susanna, I think one of the things that sometimes happens is you need to do it from a computer. It won't work from the phone for Google Calendar. Yes, now that I see you, I see your, beautiful portrait. I'm like, oh, I forgot. It only works when you do it from your computer. Hi, Kim, welcome. So we just went through the calendar and I am asking everyone, let me know if you cannot see it in the chat, but to add this calendar, this is the Menopause Summit calendar. This is where all the attendees will be able to see the calendar of the speakers. And you want to add it to make sure that your time zone is correct. Like it shows in the right time zone for you. Very, very important. I am telling you, I almost lost thousands of dollars once because doing a wrong conversion. Don't be me. I showed up and like, oh, it's your turn. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I joined 1 hour before my talk. And that's why a few more things, right? Today is like the snack list. Yes, Kim. Can you see it?
No, because I joined late, so chat's
Okay.
not showing up for me.
All right,
Thank
here you go. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So today is like the snack list day, right? It's like all the things that are missing that we need to get ready for this summit to be a success. So we ask you to actually show up one talk before you. This is important for us because that way I don't have to be chasing you behind the scenes. Hey, Susanna, where are you? Are you coming? Unfortunately, we've had in the past speakers not show up for their talk. And we don't want that. And if I don't see you 1 hour before and then it's 20 minutes in and I don't see you, I'm going to be like, hey, where are you? But if I'm super busy and like, conversations are happening and, whatever, I might not follow up on you and you might miss your opportunity. And then we'll be looking pretty and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. The speaker didn't show. And guess what that does for your brand? It's not great. It's actually very, very bad. It works against your brand. Yeah. And it also repercutes on our brand because people might have been like waiting for your talk. And that's the place they wanted to be. They were like, oh my gosh, Maria can solve my problem. And then Maria doesn't show. Are they going to trust Maria in the future? No. Right. So show up 1 hour before your talk. Now, plan to stay a little bit longer. We do not encourage people pitching and selling while another speaker is on stage. Yeah, because this is a stage. But if someone is still like, hey, I can't find your link, you're going to be there because then you can send a private message to them and say, hey, here's the link, right? So you take it off the main chat. Yeah, this is important because we do not want people not to be paying attention to the speaker. They deserve to be seen. They deserve to be heard, right? So this is just like speaker etiquette. But we want you to stay because we had one speaker, and I'm not going to name names, but she had something absolutely amazing. Okay. People wanted it. They were like, how can I sign up? When she did it first, her link was not working, right? So go check your links. Another thing on your snack list, check your links, make sure they're working. Yeah.
And send them to somebody else and make sure they can open them.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a little story about that. There was one, and tech things do happen. We can prepare all day long and launch, and some sort of tech thing will happen. So we do understand that, and we can usually cover you on that or, get some conversation happening while you're fixing, but test it. What happened with one of our speakers is she had a really hot topic. People were really engaged. People were buying it before she even got the words out of her mouth, and it didn't work. And she didn't stay around and follow up. All you have to do if your link isn't going to work and you can't fix it is go private message everybody and say, hey, I'm going to send you my calendar, or just connect. People know that, you know,
Things happen.
perfection is not required at all, and people are very forgiving of everything. But there were 8 people that reached out to me in over probably 2 to 3 days from the summit, from the time of her talk to after the summit, wanting more from her. I reached out to her and messaged her, and nothing. To this day, we have never heard back from her.
And Mary,
That's
I saw the, oh my God. I saw the, oh my God.
Those were clients. They were red.
She's okay.
I went and snooped around, and she's alive and she's posting.
Okay.
So
Sometimes we just also sabotage ourselves. when-
unknowingly, unconsciously, we really do.
Yeah, and probably she did not like she was not like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna give the wrong link and then I'm not gonna follow up. But you know,
She
when
probably told herself that nobody was interested, that she didn't do a good job, and then she told herself from being able to see any of that stuff, right? So don't do it.
so
And if we message you after the summit, it's because we care and we're trying to help you.
yes, Maria.
This is a pretty general question about the summit. I'm not sure what to expect the day of, and I'm a little nervous about the technology. So I have a feeling you guys are going to talk to us more about that. But can you kind of tell us what it'll look like from
Yes.
our perspective? Thanks.
Like I'm getting there. Like this is like the snack list, right? So and now like I have my amazing friend Fathom here who's taking notes and is gonna make an amazing summary and a list of things for all of you and for me as well, right? Because then I'll be like, I did say it, right? I did not forget on that. Okay, so come before your talk 1 hour, be on your talk, and then stay on. If you can stay for the whole talk and actually support your fellow speakers, do that. Now, from a technology perspective, I'm going to start from the things that are happening on the call already as we're going, right? You're going to have a lead magnet. Maybe you have a paid offer that you're going to be dropping. Find a partner or a VA. Your VA can come. We will let her in. Like you just give her the Zoom link and she'll be fine, right? And get a partner. It might be a speaker, a VA, or someone to be there to drop the links for you. Okay? Like,
And
you
don't
can be
wait
like,
until the last minute, and make sure, check in with her that she has the link and it's ready and handy.
and sometimes what I would suggest is just find someone who is in a similar time than you for your talk. That just makes it easier because they already blocked that day. This is something that you speakers need to do on your own. Yeah, so you just like use the chat and say, hey, I'm looking for someone to help me. I can help. This is, this is the time I'm talking. Or get your VA in the room. You want to be able to not say, oh, wait, hold on for a second. I'm going to go find the link. That does not show up as a professional speaker, right? And you do not want to be distracted by that, to be honest. You want to be focused on delivering your presentation. Now, talking about presentations, if you're going to be using slides, go into your Zoom account and practice. There's a video on the one-page stop speaker files, yeah, like on the one-pager, that has a video on how to share your screen. If you do not have 2 screens and you want to see the audience, yeah. So if you have show notes, that's the way you want to do it. If you do not have show notes, I usually don't have show notes, right? So I just share my whole screen, and then Christy saw me when we were in Florida. I just have this kind of like banner with the faces of everyone, and that's, how I do it. But I never have notes. But if you have notes, that's the way you want to do it. There's a training. It's a 6-minute training, but go practice it beforehand. I know tech sometimes is not fun, but if the tech is getting you distracted, it's making you get stressed, do not do slides. You're better off without slides, okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So if you're practicing your presentation and you're like, oh my gosh, this is such a headache, and you can do your presentation without slides, and maybe like sometimes I have notes, they're in a notebook next to me, and sometimes I will tell people, hey, by the way, not that I'm not looking at you. I just want to make sure that I'm like following my, like what I, like make sure that I'm providing all the value that I want to give in this call, right? Practice, practice, practice. Usually someone who's going to be on a webinar, if you have not done this talk over and over and again, it's the first time, you want to go practice it and do it in front of the mirror, do it in front of a friend, and ideally you practice it 3 times, and then the 4th time is when you come to the summit. Now, if you do not have time or you are a super confident speaker and you know you're going to nail it, it's okay, right? But this is just a suggestion if you're feeling yourself like, oh my gosh, am I going to forget what I'm supposed to say? And remember that simple is always better. Now, yes, walk and talk to yourself. The brain remembers it easier. Yes, thank you, Susan. This is absolutely, it's, yes, it's so, so true. I used to practice my speeches when I was in front of like 400 people, and I was just walking and walking, and then I would walk back and people were looking at me in the hotel and they were like, who's this weird lady just walking around looking at some cards, right? But it did help. Like it did actually help. So it's a great tip. Thank you. Okay. Now, when we're thinking about the presentation and whatnot, just make sure that you have everything ready and available. When it comes to the Zoom room, on the technical perspective, you have access to share from the moment you show up, right? So when we call you in, right? As a speaker, we will see the questions from the audience. Yes, Susan, of course you're excused. I also have I have a sandwich here. I haven't had lunch today. I had to go buy a sandwich from the store. Okay. So, yes, now, so, will you see these questions from the audience? This is why you want to test it. Usually you will, but if you're sharing your screen, sometimes you need to just move the chat out and just have it next to you. Now, there is a point if you're like, hey, can someone help me read the question? Like, if there's any questions, I'll answer them at the end. Depends on how you want to be running your presentation, right? Everyone does it differently. I like to set the scene at the beginning and just tell, hey, I'm going to take you through my presentation, and for you to get the best value, I'm going to be answering questions at the end. That works for me because I get distracted if I'm answering questions and suddenly I'm talking to you about my dog. And that's not really me serving you as an audience, right? So you can either be seeing the questions and answering as you go, if that's great for you. But if you're like me, just tell people from the beginning, this is how it's going to go. People love to know that you are in charge, that you're the person running the show. I've seen presentations where people start answering questions from the chat, and then the people in the chat start taking over. They unmute themselves, and then goodbye. Your talk is gone. People are now talking about dogs and cats. So I want to tell you this super quick story. It's like I have I call it the Nicole show. Christy heard about this the other day, right? The Nicole show. Anyway, so I was running a program, and it came to a point where there was someone who was just always unmuting, doing things and just sharing, and I was talking, and in the middle of it she would interrupt me to give me her feedback, and it was a group coaching program, right? And I was like, okay, well, I need to manage this, but I didn't know if people were doing, see, I'm looking at the questions now, and then I got distracted. See, this is what I do to myself. So I'm gonna ignore the questions for a second. I promise I'll answer them in just a second. Okay, so I had to actually go ask the other people in the group program and say, hey, how do you feel about this? And they were like, well, the thing is, it's actually taking away from our experience. I was like, okay, so how can I fix this? And then I started setting the rules at the beginning. And then if someone kept doing it, right? This is the Nicole show. So there was one person doing this. Then I had to very nicely say, hey, thank you so much. I'm going to go through the content, and then at the end, there's going to be time for Q&A. It's not rude. You're not disregarding them, but you are being transparent and you're setting your boundaries. Yes, so very, very important. Okay, so.
And you guys can ask for what you want the audience. You can set the context at the beginning of your talk. So, sometimes when somebody is really talking about some stuff that's a little bit deeper or that people have to feel or process, they get really quiet and they'll just look at you like this. And then you start to feel awkward and you don't know what's happening, but they're really actually totally into it. So that's one of the reasons why you want to set the context in the beginning, like share with us how you're feeling, or, does everybody agree to participate? Does stuff like that, and set that context in the beginning. You'll have a better experience, especially if you're a little on the deeper side in your information. It will help you not feel weird.
And Kim, I know you're asking, so do you tell them to wait on posting questions? I tell them to post the questions and then I just go scroll through the chat and find them. I'm like, okay, so I'm asking questions. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go find the first question, right?
Just try not to look at them if you don't distract yourself.
Yeah, you just close the chat. You let them do their thing, because you do want to ask them to engage, right? You want to ask them to say, type a 1 in the chat, type a heart, say hell yes, yes, let's lose that belly fat, or whatever you want to tell them to do. Yeah. But you want them to be engaging in the chat, because that makes them stay on longer. Yeah. So you do want to be that. Okay. So timekeeper. Yes. Okay. So I would say you do need to kind of ideally have your phone with your time next to you. But when it's like 5 minutes to go, like you're almost about to close, we will send you a message and be like, hey, you have 5 minutes left. It's a private message. Yeah. Yes, Susan, someone else can read the questions in the chat. This ideally would be this partner that you have that is helping you. That would be the best ideal scenario. So they know that they're going to help you. Like when you tell them, they're going to do it. And they might even actually help you copying those questions already and then having them all together so you can go faster. Yeah. Okay. Now, let me go back to my train of thoughts. Okay. Okay, no, okay, yes, great question. So Dr. Pam, this is like this. Your meeting room would be like this, okay? So you will see people's faces. This is the most important thing. It's about connection. This is not about the size of the room. It's about connection. If you cannot see the people's faces, can you connect? Like, oh my gosh, Christy, I have to say, I'm super excited. I finally have my paper bag for my example. So I have an example. And I talk about a paper bag. And I finally have one, because every time I use a notebook or something. So do you want to talk to me like this or like this? Like you had a paper bag in your head. It's not wide enough, so I cannot put it all over my head. But that's why we encourage people to take their cameras on. If they cannot put their cameras on because they're driving or they're at work, we do not shame them for not having their cameras on, right? We rather have them there listening in than not being there. But we understand also, like, because we're working, like this summit is for women professionals, a lot of them will go watch the replays. A lot of them will have their cameras off, and they might be super active in the chat, but you can't see their faces, right? So we do re-engagement as we go in the summit to ask people, hey, if you can turn your camera on, we love to see your faces, like, maybe I'll do my paper bag joke and whatnot to just engage, get people to engage. One of the biggest things is actually, if you're a speaker and you're attending and you're, watching other speakers, please have your camera on, because that helps. The more they see other people's faces, the more they'll turn their cameras on, because they will not feel like they're alone. That's the whole thing that happens behind the scenes.
And oftentimes, people are at work, and so they can't have their cameras on. And so it makes all the difference if the speakers are on, because those people are engaged and they are listening. I've had people reach out to me like, I can't be on the camera, I'll get in trouble. But, I'm listening. And so it does make a difference. And then, yeah, some people are just shy. Susan mentioned that they are shy, but, the more people, longer they're on there, the more everybody else is engaging, then the shy ones will come out.
Yeah. Okay. So Kim, when it's your turn to start speaking, how does that process work? Amazing question. And this is part of the overall topic that we're talking right now, that's inside of the presentation, right? So the way it works, Christy and I will just bring you and we'll pin you into the conversation, and we will be pinned as well. And we usually start with a story about your topic. And this story might not be your story. It might be a story of me, of I'm not going through perimenopause. So it's very likely it might be a story from my mom or her friends, or Christy will tell a story, something that is related to your topic. And then we're going to be like, and Kim is going to be talking about X, Y, Z today. So thank you so much for being here. We do not read bios. We do have the bios, and I know everyone was asking where are the bios so I can check them and whatnot. The bios, we use them to create the show notes, so do not worry about that. That's for the after care, that like for the people who purchase the VIP upsell pass. The reason we do not read bios is because if we read bios, it becomes very stuffy, and people are like, "Can we get already started? I want the juicy stuff."
And the thing that creates more connection than anything is us acknowledging you from our personal experience of you, because that's probably their experience as well.
So it's about, and then we might engage the audience before you start and warm them up and ask them, who here has had some hot flashes today? Right? Or last week, or yeah, or like, when was the last time you had a very restful night? Right? And we'll see like what people say, and we might read the comments, right? And then we'll bring you in. The whole goal of these is to really engage with the audience. Remember, this is all about connections. I can tell you that I was in one summit, right? And I paid I've been in many, but I paid a ton of money to be there. And then I only had 16 people in my room, and all of those were speakers from the summit. And I was a little bit on the way, like, oh my gosh, like, what's gonna happen? But when I started my journey in that summit, I told myself that I was going to make the money back from that and some more. I came out of that call, even with the speakers, with one sale that was triple the investment of the summit. So come into this mindset of, I am going to show up the best version of myself. It doesn't matter who's in front of me, because if I help one person, that's one person more I have helped. This is powerful, right?
And you don't know who those speakers know or anything like that too. You just don't know who somebody else knows or what's going to happen in any way.
Yeah. And then how does the call wrap up, right? Because we spoke about how it begins. So when the time is coming down, so usually if you have like an hour, we're gonna, like 5 minutes before, I'm gonna pin ourselves, right? So Christy and I will show up on your screen, and you're gonna see us, and you're gonna be like, okay, this is like almost time. And then we're gonna do a quick wrap up. And then usually what we do is we bridge that to the next talk. So the whole way, this itinerary or calendar, I call it an itinerary because I do it retreat style, like the way I would create a retreat with integration and all these pieces. It's created so your talk is connected to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next day you start high, and it's kind of like you're weaving something, right? So we're gonna weave you out of the talk and weave in the next speaker. So at some point you might see that now it's you, Christy, me, and the next speaker. It's normal. It's part of the flow of the process, right? So I love events and running events. So this is something that I get super excited about like, creating this cohesiveness. So I hope you're all excited. I am very, very. Okay. Okay, Susan, yes, your business partner does in the webinars. I am guessing this is reading the questions for you. Okay. Kim, there is nothing technically speaking other than show up ahead of time to do. That's it. You show your best self.
Other than pushing the button to get there.
Yeah. Ideally, no kids around if you can avoid it, because you can get very distracted, right? Like, maybe put a sock on your door or something. So people, they're like, oh, she's busy. Right? I usually close the door and I put like a do not disturb sign, like a hotel in my office, if like someone is like in the house or things like that, right? And then people know, okay, do not approach. Okay.
Unless they're two, and that's going to make them act more strongly to get in.
Well, I do not have any 2 years old, so I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
Regina, are you talking about the bios? Yeah, so we use the bios throughout our marketing, just on the back end of things. In our summit or podcast, we do sections in there, different things like that. So that's why earlier I was like, what are you doing with bios and why are you concerned? It was because that's where my brain was and it wasn't where your brain is.
So, for example, see all the VIP speakers. The intro. Oh no, yeah, we introduce you and your topic, but we do not read your bio. You want to weave your story in your presentation, and you do not want to spend 10 minutes talking about yourself. You want to be talking about, yes, my story, but how does that apply to the person on the other side of the screen? Yeah.
And then Marie is asking about the podcasts.
Okay. Well, yeah, let me just what our papers are about. I don't think I'm understanding. I'm gonna go check our conversation and figure out what the papers meant. So I just lost a train of thought, but this was important.
Podcasts. Is that what you
No, it was before that. Oh, yes. Okay, so all of you VIP speakers, you have VIP emails, right? There's a sequence of emails that you all got. It's inside of the speaker assets folder that is personalized to each one of you based on your expertise. They have been written specially for you. That's where we use a lot of the information from the bios to be able to personalize those emails. So if you have not seen those, I highly recommend you go find them. They're inside of the speaker assets folder where all the images are. There's one folder, it's called emails. There's the regular emails, and then there's the VIP and sponsors emails. Each one of you, no, these are to promote the summit. These are the ones that elevate your authority. You can crop those and use them as social media posts. They're created for you in a way that really highlights who you are and what you bring to the table. So that's mainly where we use like our bios. We use it for the show notes for the podcast. And now I can go into the podcast. Yes. Okay. So there's two. It has been changed. I'm gonna like on the social media. I'm gonna go check with the team because they told me it was done. So I'm gonna go double check for that, and it will be fixed today. I promise. Before I go to Colorado, I'll make sure it's there and it's properly done. Okay, that I can give you my word on. Okay, now podcast. So next thing that happens here from our snack list, there is a link that I'm gonna give all of you, and I'm gonna put it in the speaker page, and I'm gonna put it on the website and the WhatsApp group, and it's where you submit your offers. Whatever you're gonna be offering on your talk, you need to put those links there. There's a little bit of a description. There is the title. This is used to create the show notes for the private podcast feed. This is the podcast feed that all the people who have VIP access, that purchase VIP access, will get access to, that all of our previous VIP access pass holders have access to. So now you're going to get in front of new people. And that one is like a private access. So anyone who is a speaker here will have your talk inside of that private podcast. So I recommend to all of you to go buy the $1 VIP offer so you can get access to that private podcast and you can see it in the future. Yeah, so you get access to that. That way it's automatically and it just happens. Now, for the podcast episodes for all the speakers that are VIP, get the podcast episodes after, and you get your solo emails, right? So there's a few things that's still happening. After the summit, 1 week after the summit, yeah, the day that we have our celebration call, you will also receive an email. That email has a form that you need to fill in that has the information for your solo email, right? you either give us some information and we write it for you, or you can actually write your own. It has instructions that it has to be on third person, right? Because it's coming on our behalf. And it has a link for you to book the call to be on a podcast. And that podcast this one is going to be, it's a new launch, right? So there's a whole marketing campaign that is happening. So we're getting all the episodes together. So basically you're going to get additional exposure after the summit, all about you. And this is going to go wide in the space of like, no one needs to buy any membership. No one needs to sign up for nothing. And there's going to be an ad campaign and there's like a whole thing. So we're just waiting for the photos for the podcast cover that we just took in Florida. Yes, the podcast guest for that one, the outside, yes, it's for VIP speakers, and everyone else gets the private feed, so people can listen on the go. So instead of having replays and a membership that no one ever looks, did you know? Okay, I was reminded yesterday of this number. Do you know that out of, let's say, 100 people buy your pre-recorded course, only 20% of those are actually ever going to click on that link to go. And out of those, only 20% of those, that's 4 people, actually complete the course. So we are avoiding that by having this private podcast, because then they can listen on the go. They just add it and then they're going to see it. And then anytime they want to listen to a podcast, they're going to be like, oh, I have this one in my library. So I'm checking it from a technical perspective. I think I covered everything. So this is not webinar style. You get to see people's faces. There's a training on how to share your screen. We will introduce you without you as a speaker on your topic. We will take care of you because we love you. We'll make sure that you have a great experience. We're here to support you. There's the form to submit the information for the show notes. This is very important because as the summit is happening, our team is processing all the videos and making them into podcast episodes. So we have a quick turnaround, like 3 or 4 days after the summit or sometimes before, all the episodes are out. If we do not have the information for the show notes, your episode gets delayed.
And it's still hot. People are still getting on there and looking. We've had people get, 17 replays in 2 days. So set yourself up for success on that.
And now I'm going to just last, Christy, and then I'll let you, because I kind of hijacked the meeting. Did you notice?
I did, but that's okay. I love you.
It was not on purpose, but I was like, I have a huge snack list.
I know your energy. I know when you're in your thing.
I'm like, this is happening, Okay, so let me see. Where is it? Okay.
I'm glad you had fun doing the videos, Regina. Because I know for a lot of people, that's not easy. It's not easy for me. You notice I didn't do one. I had you all do it. My ads guy was like, can you send some videos? Can you this? And then I was like, how do I do this? This is where I win awards, is finding a way to get it done in excellence without having to follow the rules, right? And that's when I thought of that contest. So it was fun. You guys made it a lot of fun. And we got really good results from that. Those ads with where we just took some of your reels. I just took the first 3 people that sent them and sent them over to him. And those are actually performing really, really well. So I think for our next summit, we'll be doing this earlier in the game because we've never done it before.
Yeah. My go high level is just acting out on me. So as much as I wanted to give you these forms, I don't think I can right now. Because it's just it's like, Lainey, you're done for the day. No. I know I'm not done for the day, but yeah, it doesn't want to. It really doesn't. So I'm gonna give that. Wait. No, this is not the one. I thought. Okay. I'm gonna have to go find it for you, girl. Ladies, amazing women here. And then Where do we find the link? Yes, I'm gonna get you that one because that's the one I cannot find. For some reason, it decided to hide from me, but it will be on the speakers form. I'll send a long message on WhatsApp. Please bear with me. It's gonna have like everything, like the show note, like the notes from here, like the things that need to happen. So we have kind of like a summary there. So you have easy access. Just remember that our main way of communication is WhatsApp because it just makes us faster. So if something you don't see something, send us the information. Also, please forgive us if we take a little bit longer than we use, but we have like, so basically, you know, I spoke about the snag list for the speakers. We have a snag list for the summit. That is, so our development team on the website has still a list of things that they're updating on the website as we speak to make sure that everything is ready. And know that these next 5 days are really the highest days for people to sign up. So this is when you want to go hard talking about it.
And inviting people personally.
Oh, yes, I was going to talk about that. So one of the biggest things that makes people have success is actually sending private messages. So go on Facebook, and to people you have already had conversations before, just send a personal invitation.
You don't have to cold spam anyone.
Say, hey, I know we haven't spoken in a while, but I have this and I really think it will be great for you. Like, I'd love if you could join me. Okay? Regina, thank you so much. She just sent me a message saying, like, you know, I hope I get some rest because I have a lot of energy. Oh my gosh. I'm just like waiting for some rest, I have to say. It's been a little bit hectic, fun, like growing, expansive. It's just an amazing journey, and you know, I do get like so excited when I see amazing women in front of me. I can't help myself. All right.
You guys, every single person that we've talked to about this summit is just so excited about it. And at 3 o'clock this morning in my trauma hour,
We're not calling trauma hour.
It was a trauma hour this morning. I woke up in full blown trauma. And so I was trying to get on Winona. I was like trying to find all these solutions. And there was this one guy with this one app. I didn't know it was a man until I signed up for this appointment. And the earliest appointment was like 6 o'clock this morning. And so I booked it. And then that's when it showed me that it was a man. And then I was all disappointed. Like, how is a man going to help me? He's not going to understand. But it was really brilliant. So he's going to be on there and you guys get to meet him. But he has an online business. So just great resource for every single person here. I was telling him about our speakers and things like that. But it's exciting when a business that's out there and visible and doing things is excited about our speakers, our topic, and what we're creating. So, and that's not the first conversation I've had where people were just completely excited about this topic. So I'm excited.
All right. Any last questions? We're on time. So anything, you know, you're like, what about this? What about that?
Hey, ladies.
All right.
I hope you're as excited as I am.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience and for just your energy and showing up. And honestly, this is more than a summit. This is like a cause. More people need to be talking about this. So thank you for being part of it.
Okay, we'll see you soon.